His name, C-A-Y-C-E. Very strange story about this guy. He was a Bible teacher in a fundamentalist church. Every Sunday morning he came with his Bible and conducted Sunday school. Sunday school teacher. Every Sunday morning Edgar was down to the little village church and taught Sunday school from a fundamental perspective. He was a Bible teacher. And something strange happened to him. In the midst of his teaching the Bible, what you're supposed to have happen according to religion, and does not happen to too many people, happened to Edgar. He was touched by the Spirit. The Holy Spirit consumed him. He received all kinds of gifts, prophetic gifts, healing gifts, and all of these things. And as soon as he did, he became an outcast to the church. He became an enemy to the church. Get him out of here. The guy's a nut. He's a cult. He's a witch and all of these things. And they drummed the guy out. So what it means, if you want to go to church and you want to score with Christian churches, just sit there and shut up and pretend that you're in heaven and everything will be fine. Don't really get involved in the real stuff because they'll throw you out. And that's exactly what they did. Another thing about Casey that set him aside from the current evangelist, which didn't rub them too well, he didn't take any money for all of his things that he did. He used to go into these trances, and in the trances he would tell people things and prophetic things, and he would tell people where they should go, what kind of doctor they should see, what kind of medicine they should take, and all these magnificent things he did through the Holy Spirit. I mean, the guy had a fundamentalist background, but he's considered, if you go and mention his name in any of these churches up and down Route 9, they'll call the cops on you because he's considered like a witch. But that's what it is. Religion, fundamental religion says they pray for the Holy Spirit to come, and when he comes, they all run out the door. Say it's a cult. Get out of here. It's evil. But what Casey talked about, basically, and what we're going to start off with tonight, are his comments on what we know as the subconscious. The subconscious, that part of your mind that you do not know exists, very dearly exists. It's there. And what Casey is talking about, and what maybe I can explain to you about what we're going to call the subconscious, or as he refers to it as the helper, or if you're impressed towards the earlier days of your youth, your guardian angel. Okay. All located in the subconscious. The helper. Okay. Let's give you an idea of how it works. Have you ever come driving down the parkway, either coming north or coming south, and gone through the toll booth, paid the toll, and never remembered it? Driven past someplace, and then all of a sudden, geez, I don't know if I paid the toll or not. Now, how the heck did I get here? Or, sometimes you've driven maybe so many miles, and you don't even remember seeing the sights. You don't remember going through the toll booth. The question is, while you were daydreaming, who drove the car? And you know that it's true because every one of you have had that experience in one way or another. Who put the toll when you don't remember putting the toll in the machine? Who put the toll? Who drove the car? You say. Did you ever get a hunch? Feeling that something is going to happen? Where'd that come from? Who gave you the hunch? What's a hunch? Look at the word hunch. It's a miserable word. I got a hunch. Take something, liver oil or something, get rid of that hunch. Where'd the hunch come from? What? The helper. The guardian angel, that living thing that is alive and active in your consciousness. That's who drove the car when you went to bye-bye land. Can you imagine? And this happens to me a lot. Driving a car 65 miles an hour and you go away. Going right through a toll booth, not even knowing that you did it. You stopped the car, you paid the toll, you went on down 10 miles down the road, and you don't even remember going through the toll. 65 miles, 70 miles an hour, you're driving this car, and you're gone. That happens to me lots of times when I'm sitting here or if I'm talking to you. But for driving a car? If you ever want the proof of the existence of a divine presence, there it is. You're driving and you've gone away. You've left the car, and yet there it goes. Stops, pays the toll, and everything. Okay. See, you've been taught basically, and as we've all been taught, that this subconscious is a deep, dark place, and you better stay away from it. Because if you get in there, you're going to open your mind to devils and demons. That's what religious people tell you, because they frighten you with that kind of stuff. Most people that you get in churches will not dare meditate. And the reason they won't dare meditate is because they've been taught that if they do, they'll open their minds to demons. Imagine demons inside of this head. In your head, there's demons and devils. Jesus Christ didn't agree with that. He said the kingdom of God is within you. And that's very, very important to know. Remember the old radio show? I don't know if now this may date you, and some of you look a little younger. Some of you will remember this. Who knows what evil lurks within the hearts of men? The shadow knows. Remember that? Jeez. So I wouldn't dare, I wouldn't dare get involved in anything. So who then, once you are assured that inside of you lurks demons and devils and you can activate them, you have to stay away. What are you afraid of? You're not afraid of demons. You're not afraid of devils. You're afraid of yourself. You have been taught by religion to fear yourself. The Bible teaches, love your neighbor as you love yourself. But we haven't been taught to love ourselves. We've been taught to fear ourselves. So what do? We fear our neighbor as we fear ourselves. And our neighbor becomes an enemy, because our neighbor, if he says the wrong things, may cause us to lose our salvation. So what must we do? Maybe we have to lob bombs over the wall to eliminate him so that he won't be a threat to us and our American Judeo-Christian way. The kingdom of God is within you. So Jesus Christ comes along in Matthew 5:14, and he says, you are the light of the world. You. Now, did he know something we don't? Edgar Casey said, yes, he did. It is the promised land that you can enter. Let me show you where it is. The whole Bible is consumed. Let me draw a picture of you. Little bad lump there, but it's all right. That's you. Okay? Here's your 10% or the left side. Now, don't tell me the guy's looking this way, so it's his right side, and you're looking at just let's say this is the left side. Okay. This is the left. This is Egypt. This is the 10% that you use. This is where we live. This is the garbage dump of the world, where we live. Okay? Over here is the promised land. That's why it says in 1 Kings 6:8, when they built the temple, they put the door to the holy place on the right side. Jesus says, cast your net to the right side and you shall find. Why? Because when the sun rises in its trajectory and then sits in Aries, it moves to the right or eastern side. Whenever you look north, east is on the right side. That's why the wise men come from the east, the star is from the east, and all of this is from the east, because it's talking about the right side. All right? This here is the place where religion says you don't want to go. You want to stay here in the cesspool with them and have all the cesspool pumpers pump all the you-know-what around your head. That's what you do. You've lived your whole life right here in the septic tank. And then, like Buddha says, when you start meditating, things can get pretty lousy. Not because they're any worse, but because you've finally woken up and you don't like the smell. You realize, I'm living in a cesspool. For the first time in your life, you realize this is not where I should be living, and so you start casting your energy to the right side. That's the promised land. But you know what it says in the Bible? It says in the Bible a story about those who brought an evil report about the promised land. Do you know that? They do it today, don't you? You tell them you're coming down to this church to meditate, what are they going to tell you? They're going to give you an evil report of what could happen to you if you come down here and go into there, because there's demons in there and there's monsters in there, and you better not do that or you're going to lose your life and lose your sanity and all of these stuff. There's a book in the Bible called the Book of Numbers. And as the children of Israel were moving towards the promised land, they sent spies ahead to case the land. See? Let's take a look at it. Page 129 in the New Testament of the Bible, and the book of Numbers, Numbers chapter 13. Now, I want you to, if you would, give me the benefit of the doubt here and look at this as an approach to consciousness, not as an approach to a patch of land, because that's what it's really talking about. You're looking symbolically. I want you to see something. Look at the book of Numbers. It's on page 129 in those little Bibles. Numbers chapter, well, it's on page 29. How's that? You're in the New Testament, and you're saying, no, it's not. 129 in the Old Testament. All right. How about a round of boos for Ethel? Boo. All right. All right, let's go. Numbers 13 and verse 32. And they brought up an evil report. Now, I want you to think of this differently than what you're going to read it. I want you to start reading mystically, spiritually, symbolically. Start thinking about the right hemisphere, the place of deep meditation. They brought up an evil report of the land which they had searched unto the children of Israel, saying, the land through which we have gone to search is a land that eats up the inhabitants, and all the people are men of great stature. Now, look at what it says. In Numbers 14, see Numbers 14, verse 1, and all the congregation lifted up their voice and cried, and the people wept all night. They're scared to death. Verse 14, too, chapter 4, and all the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron, and the whole congregation saying, would God that we had died in the land of Egypt, or would God that we had died in this wilderness. See, they wanted to stay where they were. They didn't want any part of this thing that they had been promised. They didn't want any part of it. They want to stay where they are. How many of you had relatives saying, I was born a Aldaya? They never go to the church of a, but they were born a and they'll die. And don't you bring any of that other stuff in this house. They got a statue here and they got a Bible here and all of this stuff, and nobody's going to change them. They don't want any part of it. Absolute misery in the house. You know, absolute misery. I mean, real gunfight at the OK Corrals every day in this house. But this is it. And I got my statue and I got my Bible, and I'm not going to change anything. Don't you bring any of that stuff in here. That's exactly what this is saying. See, somebody said, don't believe in this promised land stuff. Let's stay right here. Give me your 10% and I'll take care of you. Just shut up and sing Amazing Grace. We're going to sing number 36 now. Just keep quiet and sing the song and everything will be okay. After you die. You'll get your reward after you die, so be patient. Okay? So here's the same thing. The promised land, it's a bad place. Now look at Numbers 14. Look at verse 7. And Moses, Aaron, and Joshua, that's the ones that speak. They spoke unto the company of the children of Israel, saying, the land which we passed through to search it is an exceeding good land. Look at verse 14:8. If the Lord delight in us, then he will bring us into this land, a land which flows with milk and honey. Remember I told you about this? What happens when colostrum? For those of you who might be new at this, in the center of your brain is a thing called colostrum. It flows with the oil of life down from the brain into your body. When a mother breastfeeds her baby, the milk is called colostrum. When the colostrum enters into the pituitary gland, it becomes a white, milky substance, which is breastfed to a child. As it forms into the pineal gland, it becomes a golden yellow substance. And it is called, that is why, that regeneration of the pineal gland and the pituitary gland, you come out of the land of bondage up to the higher realms of consciousness to a land flowing with milk and honey. It's exactly what they're talking about. Incidentally, in the ancients, this was the gift of life that came down from on high, coming from the brain into the body. So they call this the holy colostrum. It became the saint colostrum. It became the holy claus, the saint claus. And you know it better as Santa Claus. Bringing gifts of life down from the North Pole. And that's what happens. Okay? So here's the land flowing with milk and honey. So all of this is symbolic. All of this is telling you not what happened 3,000, 6,000 years ago, but what happens today. When you go to enter into the promised land and you come here to move over to the right side, as Jesus said, there will be scouts who will say, don't go there. There's evil lurking there. But there are voices of Krishna, of Buddha, of Jesus, and myriads of voices, and such as Edgar Cayce, who said, it's an exceeding good land, and you should leave this land of bondage, and you should go to the land flowing with milk and honey. But Jesus Christ said, practice the single eye, and religion says, don't do that, because you're going to get involved with evil. He said, you've got to enter the kingdom within. You've got to take no thought, but they say it's evil. Edgar Cayce taught us about this inner kingdom, the promised land, and he says that there are parts of the mind that control you, totally control you. There are actually parts of your mind that work day and night to exercise a control over you. Because, it's like anything else inside the body. The parts of the body are vying for control. Albert can talk about that in a physiological way. There are parts of your body, actually colonizations within you, vying for control of your body and control of the things you do. But here's a test that Edgar Cayce put together. So let's take the test. And those of you who are watching on television, take the test. I'll be the timekeeper, because I have my Timex watch. Bought this thing 35 years ago, $20. Took a licking and keeps on ticking. Never stops. Perfect specimen. Okay, here's the test. Let's see if you're in control of your mind. And this is what Cayce would want you to do. Here's the way you find out. Pick a single word or a picture. Which one do you want to pick? Anything you want. That's up to you. Pick a single word or a picture, close your eyes, and say that word over and over. And hold that picture or that word, mental picture, let's say for 30 seconds. 30 seconds really goes by very quick. And let's see if you're able to maintain that concentration on that thought or that picture without any interruptions. Okay, so here, let's close our eyes and let's pick something that you want a word, and just say it over and over again. And I'm going to turn around, so I'll just look over here toward the camera. We'll be looking at you. And I'm going to start. We're going to go in 3, 2, 1, bing. Go ahead. Okay, time's up. How'd you do? Fair. Not bad. For the most part, you're probably going to find out, if you're telling the big truth, that you find your mind has a life of its own. And your mind will take over, and you really have very little control over it. Edgar Cayce had another thing I thought was pretty clever. He would say, this is what I want you to do. I want you to think one thing, whatever it is that you want to think in your mind, but one thing I don't want you to think of and I don't want you to see are white polar bears. As soon as you're going to close your eyes, all you're going to see all over the place is white polar bears. But here then, you get an idea of your mind. So there are times, like all of us, there's times you can't go to sleep. And he says your mind is racing. Sometimes you can't recall something you want to remember. Other times, beautiful wisdom starts to flow. I know what happens sometimes with me. Sometimes I stumble on words. Other times it just flows, I was like, my God, where did this come from? Did I say this? All of a sudden, thoughts come to you. The streams just keep flowing and flowing and flowing. And actually, these thoughts sometimes feel like they're your very own, but they're not. And that's what Cayce teaches us tonight. In truth, the thoughts that suddenly start to flow, these inspired things that you suddenly were able to share with people, were things that were on your mind. How did they get on your mind? They're on your mind at another level that you know nothing about. And what Cayce said was, these thoughts are stored within your mind for a specific purpose to help you. And if they came to you all at once, you would be in confusion. And many times it does happen. Sometimes there's a leakage and you're in confusion. You ever get to, geez, I'm all mixed up. I don't know what the heck's going on. I'm all confused. My mind's racing in a million different directions. All of this stuff is coming out at you, and it shouldn't be coming out at you. In normal conditions, the helper is there to help. And the helper within, Cayce calls, and I like this word, the genie. The genie. Inside of you, the genie. preparing your thoughts, holding your thoughts, and when you confront a situation, your subconscious then will gradually and then immediately gather these thoughts and prepare them and have them ready for you. And then when you dip into that life stream, all of a sudden, bang, something comes. Something's there. So spiritually, if this guy is talking like this and saying, there is something within you right now, there is like a tape recorder inside of your brain taking all of this information, setting it up, positioning it, queuing it up for when you need the right thing to say. All of a sudden, and you have it happen all the time. Geez, I never knew. I was a nervous wreck. I didn't think I'd ever be able to get through this thing, but I just went ahead and I just went out and said it, and it came out great. All of a sudden, the right words came. Because it's like just when you're getting ready to say what you have to say, whoop, the genie turns on the tape recorder, boom, 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 out it comes. That's true. How does the Bible put it? In John 14, on page 104 in the little Bibles here, John chapter 14 and verse 26. Jesus says, the Comforter, which is the Holy Ghost, whom the Father will send in my name, shall teach you all things and bring all things to your remembrance, soever I have said unto you. The Comforter, whom the Father will send in my name. Now remember that word name in mysticism does not mean a proper name, because most people play in Jesus' name. Problem with that is his name wasn't Jesus. That may be the source of the problem. We're praying to the wrong guy. His name was Jehoshua. Okay. But the word name in the Bible, in mysticism, means way. It means the way. In the way that he told you, and he told you your journey must be inward. He told you to practice the single eye. Cast your energy to the right side. Take no thought. And he says the Comforter will come. The Helper will come. Okay? The Comforter, which is who the Father will send in my name, or in the way. If you practice the way that I told you, it will come. So how are you going to prove this? What can you ever prove? Somebody come up to me this morning and said, well, I'm not too sure about this. I said, I'm not too sure about it either. Because who can prove anything? How old are you? Who has ever proved one thing to you in a religious context? You can't. It's impossible. Where does proof have to come from? Within yourself. You have to know. It doesn't make any difference what I tell you. I could stand up here all night long and tell you lies. If you believe them, it's the truth. I could tell you the truth, and if you don't, it's a lie. It just doesn't make any difference. It has to come from within yourself. You have to be true to yourself. And once you overcome the desires to have and to do and to have things the way you want it, once you overcome that, then you're functioning in his way, and then things start to turn. Things start to work out. Things start to come right. So here Jesus says, he shall teach you all things. Here, let me show you something. Watch. You want to see? He'll teach you all things. Ready? I'll show you things that some of you know, but have been here before. Some of you don't know. Okay? In the Bible, the number of Adam is number 9. That's the numerical number of Adam in Sanskrit. Okay? What's it mean? It means the human mind. Okay? So who's the beast? 666. 189. The beast? Got a picture of him hanging over the sink in either the men's room or the ladies' room. You can go turn the light on and take a look. What says in the very next phrase? 144,000 are saved. 1 plus 4 plus 4, 9. That means the beast is the lower mind. Salvation is the higher mind. Jesus Christ says in John 21:6, cast your net to the right side and you'll find. John 21:11 says they caught 153 fish. The entire Bible is loaded from beginning to end with that number 9. Everything in construction in the Old Testament is in cubits. Why? Because it's 18 inches. Always multiplies out to 9. The ark is consciousness. Goliath is consciousness. Somebody said, yeah, but you screwed up that one, brother. You said Goliath, huh? Consciousness? 18 inches, so many cubits, and a span. Well, I thought, boy, this did blow this one, Joe. But I looked up the word span, 9 inches. And that's the way it is throughout the entire Bible, because the Bible's not talking about arks. It's not talking about Goliath giants. It's not talking about boats. It's not talking about beasts. It's talking about you and me and here. And that's what it's all about. Okay? That's what it's all about. So then we get to understand this helper. But Casey says we do not control the flow of that stream. We cannot turn it on. We cannot turn it off. But there is much within that holy place deep within you that you can use if you will dip deeply in and touch it. You know, I've stood here and I've taught you the same story from Jesus Christ. I've taught you this story from Hare Krishna. I've taught you this story from Shakyamuni Buddha. I've taught you this story from Carl Jung. And now I'm teaching this story from Edgar Casey. All brilliant people who understood spirit. All people of God who understood spirit. And instead of this, who do we listen to? The guys on television. And they know nothing of this. Most of you have never heard of any of these things before. Never heard of any of them. And I can dare say that before you ever set foot in this room, you never heard that the number 9 had this mystical meaning. They say, well, how do you know it has a mystical meaning? How do you know that shoot the bull means to have a conversation? How do you know that let's go shoot the bull doesn't mean that I want to go out and find a bull and blow it up? How do you know that? Maybe I want to go shoot a bull. But if I say to you, let's go shoot the bull, you're going to say, good, pull up a chair. How are we going to shoot a bull with a chair? They say, well, that's stupid. We mean have a conversation. It is stupid for us not to know what this means. It is much more stupid to read this book literally and say what all, in 7 days the walls fell down. Do you know what 7 days the walls fell down means? 7 days the walls fell down means you mounted the 7 chakras, which is the energy from the base of the spine to the pineal gland, and it caused the wall between the left side and the right side to fall down, and you went in and took the promised land. That's what it means. But what do we say? He marched around the wall 7 times, and the walls fell down. Do you know that there are people in churches now that get up in these churches and they march around the church? The only problem is the walls don't fall down. If it did, it would end all of that cockamamie stuff. I told Joan and Alvira once when we were into that stuff, Ryan Porter bought a new car. We were going to bless it. You know what we did? We walked around the car 7 times. Al said he only went 6 because he was afraid it was going to fall down if he went around 7 times. Remember that? This is mysticism. This is code. This is a code book. You've heard of International Morse code. This is Celestial Morse code. There is only one group of people on the face of the earth that takes this stuff literally, and that's the ones that live in this country. Because they come out of the Dark Ages. And they read this stuff literally. A guy got on a boat, Joe, with 2 of every animal in the world. And the boat floated. And he was floating too, inside and out. That boat had to be. Look. What's it mean? You build the ark. When the storm comes, you enter the ark. This is the ark. You go into the ark. And as the storm is raging, it says they had one window they put in the ark. In here, up above in the ceiling. Why? So that you looked up and you didn't look down at your problems. You looked up. And what happened to the ark? The storm that tried to destroy you lifts you up higher and higher, puts you on the mountaintop, and you step out on it. It's psychology. Psychology. Remember, what did we say the other night? There was Adam, right? He was the first guy. Incidentally, I'm going to show you this so you don't get carried away with my story. Adam and atom are the same thing. I know this comes as some type of heresy, but let it be. When God took a rib out of Adam, it means he took an electron out of an atom. How did he make all of this and you and me? He split the atom. That's all it means. That's exactly what it means. What's wrong with that? Is it wrong for things to make sense? Are you a cultist because that makes... Do you want to believe he ripped a rib out of this guy and made you, lady? You know, jeez. I'm the cult. Because I said he didn't pull a rib out of this guy to make this fakakta lady. He made out. Now, tell me this, would you? He's got Adam. Only one guy in the whole world walking around. Where's he going to go, to the store? Nothing. Then he made Eve. Now you got Adam and you got Eve, right? They had a little, and they had Cain and Abel. Now you got 4 people running around. Now this guy Cain figures, got to deal with this overpopulation stuff. He rubs out Abel. Put this finger up. He rubs out Abel. Okay? Now there's only Cain, there's only Abel, Adam, and Eve. Cain, Adam, and Eve. And Cain says, the heck with this, it's getting too hot in this town. He goes off and gets married. Ho-ho! And you know what he says? He says to God, everywhere I go, people are going to kill me. Where's the people? There's only 3 people. Jeez. But you know, you can't get these people up here. No way. You'll never talk to them about that. No way. Okay. But so that you know, the first Adam is the physical, the second. See, let me show you. Come on, I'll show you something really interesting, real quick. Genesis. Hurry up real quick, I'll show you something. You know about Adam and Eve? And Cain and Abel? And made out of the dust of the ground? Well, that's okay. That's the physical Adam. Let me show you the spiritual Adam. Genesis 5. It's right in the beginning of the book. Genesis 5, verse 1. Now watch this one. This will blow your little socks off. This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that God created man, in the likeness of God, he made him. Male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam in the day when they were created. And Adam lived 130 years, begat a son in his own likeness, named Seth. Who is this? What's this all about? I don't think so. What happened to the other guy? Do you know what I'm saying to you? This is a whole different thing here. Because the guy who wrote number 5 knew nothing from the story about 2 and 3. I'm getting kicked out. I'm having this with the woman in the rib and all of this. What's this all about? Forget it. It's a whole different story. Because you're looking at the creation of the second Adam in spirit. The first Adam is physical. Okay? So what I'm saying to you is, now is the time to come out of the Sunday school and be adult with this thing and start reading it like it was written mystically, spiritually, and understand it as such. Okay? So Casey says, although this is hidden inside of you, this genie is waiting for you to call for help. And most of you are screaming on the outside, help, every day. But the genie, this helper, this power is inside and beckons to you through meditation. Let me show you something in page 609 of your little Bibles in the book of Isaiah. All right, the book of Isaiah, and listen to it. And this is talking about meditation. This is talking about the mysticism of meditation. Isaiah chapter 45. And this is where it comes from. This is what Casey's talking about. This is what all the masters who taught Isaiah, page 609, Isaiah 45, verse 3. Look what it says. I will give you the treasures of darkness and the hidden riches of secret places, that you may know that I, the Lord, which call you by the name, the God of Israel. The hidden riches of secret places, the treasures of darkness. That's what he's talking about, the genie in the bottle. And Edgar Casey went on to explain the conscious mind as focused light. Now here's what he's saying, okay? I mean, you can't get into a guy like this in a half hour. Carl Jung, I'm just trying to give you an idea of, a little bit of splits here. But this is what Casey was saying. Here's you, okay? And here's your conscious mind. All right? I mean, that's like radiating out, from your conscious mind, okay? Focus. It shines here on this one spot. You concentrate. So what are you concentrating on? So whatever you're concentrating on, that's your conscious mind. Right now I'm concentrating on you. Hopefully, for a few minutes you're concentrating on me. That's where you're concentrating. But he's talking about, where's Genie? Where's the helper? The subconscious has a diffused awareness, and it flows in all directions. All directions. While you're looking at me, your subconscious is looking behind you and listening behind you. And your subconscious right now is hearing things that people might even be whispering about you and registering them in that little tape machine inside of your brain. Everything, nothing is being left out. It's picking up like a lighthouse. It's picking up everything. Behind you, to the left, to the right, all of the things. You don't even realize that you're picking them up. Stop. And it is. And it's picking them. And he said that nothing escapes the subconscious. Nothing. While you concentrate, you're looking at here, your subconscious is picking up over here, over there, over here, up there, all over the place. The slightest noise, what happens? You're very concentrated, right? You're concentrating, and slightest noise, boom. You might hear somebody drop a little thing, bang, instantly. You're alert, you're aware. And it's something that you've all experienced, because the genie pays more attention than you and I do. But did you ever have this happen to you? Somebody will suddenly ask you a question, and you're not really paying attention. Let's say the question is, what time did you go to work? And you didn't hear the question. And this is what your response will be. Huh? What time did I go to work? See, you didn't hear it, but he heard it. And before that person had the opportunity to repeat the question, the tape recorder played it back for you, and there you went. And you have that happen to you all the time. You really didn't hear what he said. Huh? What do you mean, what time did I go to work? The subconscious is actually repeating. The subconscious has stored it. Everything you have ever sensed in your entire existence as a human being is stored. I say, how could that be? Come on. I mean, the magnificence of this beyond any computer that could ever be created. It's all stored in here. If you can see it in a piece of tin in a computer, can't you imagine what is in here? All stored, everything, from all of your existences. And that's why this karmic thing is such a problem, because so much of it, which is accumulated and is stored in the memory bank of this magnificent machine, is still there. And will still come back to you. So here, then, what has happened? In that particular instance, the genie, the helper, has come to your rescue. The spirit has done its work. The event has been repeated over for you, Joe, even though you weren't paying any attention. It's been repeated for you, so you knew what to say. So that's what Jesus tried to tell us. Now, if that is such a magnificent thing in the center of, can you imagine if you start paying attention to it and start learning how to adapt yourself to it and start learning how to operate it instead of just letting it run by itself? You say, I got something special. That's why Jesus said, you're the light. The kingdom is in you. Everything is there. A magnificent thing beyond the belief of human beings, because they've been told to come to a church and make a religion out of it. It has nothing to do with religion. It has to do with your mind, the construction of the mind and how it operates. And that's why Jesus said, cast your net to the right side. When we continue with Edgar Casey next week, we're going to do work on his work on subliminal suggestion and subliminal stimulation and how it works in the human mind. He was a wonderful man, and he had so much to offer, but because of our religious traditions, we closed the lid on him, as we have closed the lid on so many who had life to give us. We just turned it away. But you see, that's the Christmas story. It's the same thing. We're too busy. We don't have room for this kind of stuff. And so it has to be born someplace else. And we miss it. But who sees it? Go back to the Christmas story. Who sees it? You know what shepherds guiding their sheep are? People who watch their thoughts. Sheep are spiritual thoughts. The shepherds are those who stay up at night and watch the sheep. Those who in meditation are watching their thoughts are the first ones to see the birth of the Christ within. Of the virgin consciousness he is born. And then when that happens, and when you have stimulated, and the shepherds who are watching the sheep, you who are watching your thoughts, see that birth out of virgin consciousness of that Christ, what's the next beautiful thing that happens? From the right side, from the east, comes wisdom. See? It's all acted out. It was just acted out for you. Unfortunately, we've made another fairy tale out of that. We've made a story out of it instead of making a psychological truth out of that too. That whole Christmas story is a psychological truth of the virgin consciousness which gives birth to the Christ. And there he lies in a manger between the horse and the goat, between Sagittarius and Capricorn. That's exactly when it happens. That's when the sun is born every year. Up there. The sun is born between Sagittarius and Capricorn, between the horse and the goat in the stable. It's all written in the stars. And as it is outside, so it is in here. And it's all yours. Okay? Okay. Thank you very much.